please go through and install that Playwright test scripts easily. And then I'm focusing on the today, like the second session, which more on like Playwright test cases. So which means like how to create a test cases using Playwright TypeScript. And so there are test cases. So we have multiple test cases, how to make a together by using the test describe method. And if you want to run a specific test case only, so how do we do that? And also like so there are some test cases, we have some prerequisite for the before and after. So how do we put that in the test describe inside the block? And how to make by using this before and after each, what are the benefits we can have by using this one? And also we want to run, so we want to run that, how do we tag that specific test cases? So and I'll tell you that different type of run commands as well. Okay, so let's start jump into the actual practical session. Yeah, to start the session, like to start a practical example, so we need to install that. Yeah, to start the session, like to start a practical example, so we need to install that Play Node.js and the npm module, as well as like Playwright installation, and also we need to install a Visual Studio. So as I explained in the session one in my Playwright test TypeScript series, so please watch and install the prerequisites. Now let's start the today session. So let me create a test case under the test. So this was created in the last session based on the last session. So this folder structure has been explained in the last session. So just today we are focusing on the how to create a test. So there is a folder called in the project. We have a folder called a test. So here we can write a test file, and the file name. If I write a file name, so my test my test.ts. So I want to write my scripts in TypeScript. So that is the extension is .ts is a type extension. So now we want to write a test cases. So first we need to import a function at the flower bracket. So inside the flower bracket, you can enter in the next line. So this is the exact block where we can write our test cases. Okay. So now, so what is a test? Test is a method, and the test has a title. So my test case is the title. Inside that, there is an arrow function which can write our actual test case logic, right? So now let me write here. I will write a console output as of now. Console console.log, and I will print that this is a first test case. This is the first test case. Okay. Now, similarly, I can create another test case. So, how do we create another test case? So, let's there is a test method, and we need to provide the title my test case 2. Okay, 0 to the test case 2, and there is a callback function, and you can write that inside the code. So again, you can call console.log, right? Console.log, which can print the text in the console print. Okay. So now this is a second test case. Second test case. So like that, we can write a number of test cases, right? We can write the n number of test cases. So what we have done, simply we imported a test method from the playwright test, right? Playwright test, and we started the test case writing. Now I want to run this test case. Okay, now I want to run this test case. So how do we run? So open the terminal. Okay, and you can see that like a terminal window. So where we can put the commands. So what is the command? I will explain in detail. So there is a npx command, and it is my playwright project. So playwright test. So this will this will call all the test cases currently. So going forward, I'll tell you that how to call specific test cases and all those things. So right now I want to execute these two test cases. My test case 01 and my test case 02. Right. So let me click on enter. Click on enter. Then let's see the execution. Yeah, the execution is started and running the 6 test cases using the 4 workers. So and also it printed, you see, this is a second test case, this is the first test case, this is a first test case, this is second test case, and how many test cases are passed? There are 6 test cases are passed. So because, so why it is taken 6 test cases, right? In my Playwright config file, I made a parallel and enabled for parallel, and also my project is configured for 3 browsers. So it is parallelly executing my 3 test cases at a time. So that is the case I am getting that total number of 6 test cases. So we can also filter it. So before filtering, so we can make one more topic. So what is the second topic? Second topic is how do we group the multiple test cases together. So for that, I will create a one more test and I will show you that. Okay. So let me create my one more test case. So one more test file, and create a new file under the test folder. Okay. So test groups dot test dot ts. Okay. So this is my another file I created. Now in this also what we need to do, we need to, first point is we need to import that test function to write my playwright test from the playwright test library at the rate playwright at the rate now. So we can write that. So earlier we have written the previous file, we have written a test, only the test cases, these are the individual test cases, but I want to write a group of test cases. So how do we write a group of test cases? Suppose there is a one module, under the module, like we have many flows or many test cases. For example, our module is a login module. Okay, login functionality, we can say login functionality. So login functionality which can contain like around like 3 test cases. So I want to make a group of these test cases. So how do we do that? So we can write a test dot. So test is a method, inside that there is a describe is there. So this test describe is a, again which will have title and also callback functions, right? So what is the title of the test case? Title of the describe my group. So I'm describing group is login functionality test cases. Okay, login functionality test cases, or we can call it a test suite also. So better we can name it as a test suite, which will contain number of test cases. And also we can give that arrow function and describe your test cases. So in this particular, yeah, arrow is missing. Yeah. So in this particular test dot describe method, which will contain again test cases. So test are test cases. How do we create a test? By using a test function. So text function also will have a title. So this is a login my test case, right? Login with my test case title is login with valid credentials. And so I want to I want to create a callback function, so where we can actually write our code. So now again I'm just printing the console only. So console dot log, and it says that um, the same title. I'm printing the title only. Login with valid credential. Valid valid credential. Okay. So now similarly, I will create another test case like so invalid credentials. Invalid credentials. So I can log in with the invalid credential, and one more test case is login without any credentials. So login without any credential means just we will click on the login button without entering any data. So something like, so these are the like grouping. So right now, by using the test.group method, so we are making inside the group we can write a model based test cases. So by the way we come to know, so these are the test cases belongs to the particular test suite. So the test.describe, which will give a grouping of your model test cases, right? Yes. So let me run this one and see the outcome. On the same command, I'm running it npx playwright.test. Now, this time you can see there are two test files. Okay, so how many test files we have? Two test files, and maybe it was not saved, I think. Yeah, let me save it. Yeah, let me rerun it. So this time, how many test cases will execute? There are total 15 test cases. Okay, the execution is started, and so these test cases are running in a headed mode, right? Headless mode. Yeah, total number of test cases executed this one. So now, so I want to run only the specific test cases. Okay, so I want to run only the specific test case. How do we do that? So now I want to run only in the sense, suppose I have a, so uh, yeah, I hope you got it right. So grouping test cases are done. Now the next topic is, so how do you run the specific test cases? So I want to run only the specific test cases. So for that we have a one method call. So go to the individual test case. In this test case, I want to run only dot only is the a method. So dot only is a method. So which means it will run only the test case one only. So let me run this one. So npx playwright.text, same command, I'm running it. Now you can see, okay, maybe the saving that tests are saving problem. So let me save this test properly. So what I have done, so just I added that one filter to run that only the test dot only is which can run only one test case. Now it is filtering only one test case, running three tests in the sense three different browsers, but one test case is. So what test case is executed? Only that this test case, this is the first test case only it executed. Similarly, you can also add the block for the group of test case as well. Suppose you have a different kind of test groups. Okay, test.describe. You want to run only one group, you can also mark this as. Okay, so this way also we can execute the test.describe only, which means we can run only this particular test suite. Yeah, actually the saving process, it is not auto saving, so that is the problem. Let me save and clear. Yeah. So test.describe only. So this only three test cases means total 12 test cases are executing. Yes. Okay. The first test case also it is executed. Okay. Why? Maybe the saving issue. Yeah, the file is not saved properly. I need to set up the auto save. I did not done that. So next session onwards I will set up that one. Okay. Yeah. So this is about the filtering. So we have more filtering, but a later point of time I will explain. Now we can add, so before and each, before each and after each inside the test describe. So test describe block. So now we want to run a prerequisite. So suppose you have a group of test cases, login module. So I want to load a, so the loading a base URL, right? Loading a base URL. So I will keep in this. So I want, there are some prerequisite. So there are some prerequisite or precondition to this test. Okay, like opening the base URL. Okay, and also there are some kind of post condition to the test. So we want to close the session, something like. So to do that, we can use, there are for precondition we can use the block of code is test dot. There is a before each is a method, and we can call it. So here you can call a method like arrow functions, and you can add that block of code here. So in this code I will write that console dot precondition set. Similarly for the post condition we can write here, but by readability purpose I'll write here. So test dot after each. So each method, so inside that, so we have a arrow function, and we can write the block of code there. And so console dot, I'm writing a console print for, okay, so that is like end my all the session, end the session details, or end the session information. Okay, so now let me recollect it and summarize that what we have done. So now you see that there is a, yeah. Now let me highlight the things you will come to know. Yeah. So this is my test. This is my test dot describe method, and this is specifically it is a login functionality test suite. In that, so we have a test case one, right? So the login with a valid credential, and there is another test case login with invalid credentials, and there is another one more test case is login without any credentials, right? And these are the three test cases. In this particular suite, I want some kind of prerequisite test. So this test is required some prerequisite. So to apply that or to run each and every test. Okay. And also I added a block called for it test dot after each post condition. So what it does is simply whenever it runs the test case, right? So what it does is that running the test case, first it will run that before running the test, it will execute this particular before each test. Then the test is completed. Again, this will run this off post test. Okay, so like that, it will run. Let's see that test execution. So what is the command? The command is same. So npx test. So let me save these two files because the saving issue is there, right? So let me control save specifically and apply that test run command npx playwright test. Now you can see there are test cases are executing. Okay, and before, so you see simply saying that precondition step is executed. So which means each test before there is a precondition step, and login with valid credential test. So this is a test case, actual code, and end the session. End the session mean post execution. So like that it was created. Okay, it was executed, right? Yeah. So now I hope you clear on this particular before and after, like before each and after each the test case block. Let's we are going to integrate actual playwright module. So that is launching a website. Okay, launching a website dot test dot ps. Okay, so now as we know, right, how to integrate playwright. So just first of all we need to import statement. I want to import a my test method from what? So from at the rate playwright test library. So now I want to run my test, right? So test having a title, test title. So launching a base URL for orange HRM orange orange HRM demo site. Okay, so this is my test title, and now you can see arrow function. Okay, I'm creating arrow function and I will write the code here, right? So this is the kind of test. Now what is the next one is how to add integrating our integrating our playwright. Okay, playwright. So playwright which will have browser instance, page instance, constant instance, right? So those which will be in the JavaScript standpoint and JavaScript and TypeScript on standpoint. So we have a use called as a page. So there is a page we call as a pictures in TypeScript and JavaScript. So picture is nothing but picture is nothing but a kind of object. Okay, that can be like browser object, context object, page object. Then these are the built into the tool, okay, into the library, and which will help to write your test cases in a clean environment, right? So what we need to do, we need to add a page fixture into the particular test case. And this particular page, what is meaning by page? Why we are adding this picture into the test case level? So we need to interact with the page actions, web page actions, like opening a browser, clicking on the links or buttons. So for that purpose, we need to use a page fixer, and which is provided by Playwright test to automate your browser actions. So this is the case that there is a method called go to method. So this go to method also we have URL. You see, go to URL. So we can provide the URL. Okay. So let me copy my application URL. So open source HRM live login page application. So I want to run this particular test case only. So what we need to do? So we need to add only that test case. So let me remove all the only and remaining classes. Yeah, I removed it. Now I will kept as a dot only. Okay, dot only. So I kept the dot only. So and I will fire the command. Run command is npm playwright test. npm playwright test, which can run my test cases. So this time actual like a playwright page has is been integrated, and also it is launched at browser. So you see that launching browser is executed, but go to method has some problem. Okay, so what is the problem? I will tell you that. So because I know this problem, and this is a common mistake. Now we can see the best default reporting and all the failure messages. So there is a my test case name, and which is run in the Chromium browser, and there is a same test case which is run in the Firefox, and there is another same thing like we have run the. So it runs that WebKit tool browser. Okay, there are three browsers, and there is a one test case. It is run in three number of test cases format. Okay, so the first thing is, so first we can write a one test. How do we run the test? So we can write a filter of our test cases, right? So let me run this one. I want to run this project in a only Chromium browser. So what should I do? So now clean the command, and I want to run this my test, right? This test is the test is running. Test is running currently on three browsers. Okay, three browsers because my playwright.test config file, which has by default configured as a Chromium Firefox web tool. So those are, and also I marked as somewhere is parallel is true, right? So that is the case. There are three test cases are executing. So I want to overcome that one. I want to run only specific tests. What I should do? So I should run that command along with that some filtering kind of hyphen project, and specify that. Okay, specify that, and Chromium. Okay, my browser type is Chromium. So Chrome browser means. And also till now I haven't seen that browser execution. So it is headless mode. I want to run my test in headed mode. So this is the command npx playwright test hyphen project. So project is still I want to run my Chrome browser, and it is headed format. So I want to see that visual execution, right? So let's see that. Now my one running one test is executing, and it lands the browser. Okay, and also it fails because you see that. So launching browser for the test case name is got printed, and Chromium it was executed, and there is a error. Go to error, maybe the frame detachment something, right? So why this particular error? I'll tell you that, and this is the common mistake we usually people will face, and how to resolve this one. So I'll tell you in detail. So to fix this one, so to fix this one, what we need to do is we need to analyze that. So what is a go to method? Okay. So now mouse over on this go to method. Okay. So now go to method mouse over, and you see that this method is returning a promise. Okay. This method is returning a promise. So in JavaScript or TypeScript, that's which you can return as some promises, right? So what is a promise? Promise is representing an operation that has not completed yet, but expected to complete in a future. So it can be either resolved successfully, either it can be fail with error message will be displayed. So to handle this promises properly, what we need to do is we need to put a await 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 command before the test method, before this particular method, sorry, before the method. So await is the method which can wait to promise to be executed. Okay, because the promise is returning something, we need to wait some time. So the promise can be written, which can be written either failure or success. So, but we should wait. So most of the playwright functions which has the written promises, we need to identify and we can keep it. If the method does not return promise, you don't need to put that await keyword, right? So whenever you put any method before await method, you see that await expressions are allowed to within the async function at the top level. So what it's saying that a boss you kept in this particular method, okay, await, but my arrow function does not allow. So you have to put before the function, or you can mark my function as a async function. So then only the await keyword or await will satisfy further. Right. Now you can see and execute without any error. So let me run and so let me control C and save this first and clear screen. Run my test. So npx playwright test hyphen project equal to chromium hyphen headed. So now this time, which will open the browser without any error. So it pass automatically. Yes, right? So this is the way you can execute your tests. Okay. So I want to run in a, so now we can run Chromium browser. Okay, sorry, Chromium browser we have run, right? We want to run Firefox browser. So just what you need to do, change the project type is a Firefox. And I am running the same test with the Firefox. So the Firefox browser which will launch the browser. Yeah, and loaded that Orange HRM application. Here, yeah. So that's all about this integration and how to write our test case in a proper format